Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
The End of Science Fiction by Liesl Mueller. This is not fantasy. This is our life. We are the characters who have invaded the moon, who cannot stop their computers. We are the gods who can unmake the world in 7 days. Both hands are stopped at noon. We are beginning to live forever in lightweight aluminum bodies, with numbers stamped on our backs. We dial our words like Muzak. We hear each other through water. The genre is dead. Invent something new. Invent a man and a woman naked in a garden. Invent a child that will save the world, a man who carries his father out of a burning city. Invent a spool of thread that leads a hero to safety. Invent an island on which he abandons the woman who saved his life with no loss of sleep over his betrayal. Invent us as we were, before our bodies glittered and we stopped bleeding. Invent a shepherd who kills a giant, a girl who grows into a tree, a woman who refuses to turn her back on the past and is changed to salt, a boy who steals his brother's birthright and becomes the head of a nation. Invent real tears, hard love, slow spoken ancient words, difficult as a child's first steps across a room. Thank you.
Soul by Evan Boland. My mother died one summer, the wettest in the records of the state. Crops rotted in the west, checked tablecloths dissolved in back gardens, empty deck chairs collected rain as I took my way to her. Through traffic, through lilacs dripping blackly behind houses, and on curbsides, to pay her the last tribute of a daughter. I thought of something I remembered. I heard once that the body is, or is said to be, almost all water. And as I turned southward, that ours is a city of it, one in which every single day the elements begin a journey toward each other that will never, given our weather, fail. The ocean, visible in the edges cut by it, cloud, color reaching into the air, the Liffey storing one and summoning the other. Salt greeting the lack of it at the north wall, and as if that wasn't enough, all of it ending up almost every evening inside our speech. Coast, canal, ocean, river, stream, and now Mother and I drove on. And although the mind is unreliable in grief, at the next cloudburst, it almost seemed they could be shades of each other. The way the body is of every one of them, and now they were on the move again. Fog into mist, mist into sea spray, and both into the oily glaze that lay on the railings of the house she was dying in, as I went inside. Ansel by Evan Boland.
The People, the Mob by Carl Sandburg. I am the people, the mob, the crowd, the mass. Do you know that all the great work of the world is done through me? I am the working man, the inventor, the maker of the world's food and clothes. I am the audience that witnesses history. The Napoleons come for me, and the Lincolns. They die. Then I send forth more Napoleons and Lincolns. I am the seed ground. I am the prairie that will stand for much plowing. Terrible storms pass over me. I forget. The best of me is sucked out and wasted. I forget. Everything but death comes to me and makes me work and give up what I have, and I forget. Sometimes I growl, shake myself and spatter a few red drops for history to remember, then I forget. When I, the people, learn to remember, when I, the people, use the lessons of yesterday to no longer forget who robbed me last year, who played me for a fool, then there will be no speaker in all the world say the name, the people, with any fleck of a sneer in his voice or any far-off smile of derision. The mob, the crowd, the mass will arrive then. Thank you.
Alone by Edgar Allan Poe. From childhood's hour I have not been as others were. I have not seen as others saw. I could not bring my passions from a common spring. From the same source I have not taken my sorrow. I could not awaken my heart to joy at the same tone. And all I loved, I loved alone. Then, in my childhood, in the dawn of a most stormy life, was drawn from every depth of good and ill the mystery which binds me still. From the torrent or the fountain, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sun that round me rolled in its autumn tint of gold, from the lightning in the sky as it passed me flying by, from the thunder and the storm and the cloud that took the form when the rest of heaven was blue, of a demon in my view. Thank you.
The Properly Scholarly Attitude by Adelaide Crapesy. The poet pursues his beautiful theme, the preacher his golden beatitude, and I run after a vanishing dream, the glittering will-o'-the-wispish gleam of the properly scholarly attitude. The highly desirable, the very advisable, the hardly acquirable, properly scholarly attitude. I envy the savage without any clothes, who lives in a tropical latitude. It's little of general culture he knows, but then he escapes the worrisome woes of the properly scholarly attitude. The unceasingly sighed over, wept over, cried over, the futilely died over, properly scholarly attitude. I work and I work till I nearly am dead, and could say what the watchman said, that I could, but still, with a sigh and a shake of the head. You don't understand, it is ruthlessly said, the properly scholarly attitude. The eye to be sought for, wrought for, and fought for. The ne'er to be caught for, properly scholarly attitude. I really am sometimes tempted to say that it's merely a glittering platitude, that people have just fallen into the way, when lacking a subject, to tell of the sway of the properly scholarly attitude. The easily preachable, spread eagle speechable, in practice, unreachable, properly scholarly attitude.
Alone by Edgar Allan Poe. From childhood's hour, I have not been as others were. I have not seen as others saw. I could not bring my passions from a common spring. From the same source I have not taken my sorrow. I could not awaken my heart to joy at the same tone. And all I loved alone. Then, in my childhood, in the dawn of a most stormy life, was drawn from every depth of good and ill the mystery which binds me still. From the torrent or the fountain, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sun that round me rolled in its autumn tint of gold, from the lightning in the sky as it passed me flying by, from the thunder and the storm and the cloud that took the form, when the rest of heaven was blue, of a demon in my view. Thank you.
The Alphabet by Carl Shapiro. The letters of the Jews as strict as flames, or little terrible flowers lean stubbornly upwards through the perfect ages, singing through solid stone the sacred names. The letters of the Jews are black and clean, and lie in chain line over Christian pages. The chosen letters bristle like barbed wire that hedge the flesh of man, twisting and tightening the book that warns. These words, this burning bush, this flickering pyre unsacrifices the bled son of man, yet plats his crown of thorns. Where go the tipsy idols of the Roman past synagogues of patient time? Where go the sisters of the Gothic rose? Where go the blue eyes of the Polish women, past the almost natural crime, past the still speaking embers of ghettos? There rise the tender flowers of the Jews. The letters of the Jews are dancing knives that carve the heart of darkness 7 ways. These are the letters that all men refuse, and will refuse until the King arrives, and will refuse until the death of time and all is rolled back in the book of days.
The Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson, performed by Robert Machuca. half a league, half a league, half a league onward. All in the valley of death rode the 600. Forward, the light brigade! Charge for the guns, he said. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Forward, the light brigade! Was their man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew someone had blundered. There's not to make reply, there's not to reason why. There's but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Cannon to right of them, cannon to left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered. Stormed at with shot and shell, boldly they rode and well. Into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell, rode the 600. Flashed all their sabers bare, flashed as they turned in air, sabering the gunners there, charging an army, well, all the world wondered. Plunged in the battery's smoke, right through the line they broke. Cossack and Russian reeled from the saber's stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to right of them, cannon to left of them, cannon behind them, volleyed and thundered. Stormed at with shot and shell, while horse and hero fell. They that had fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell. All that was left of them, left of 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, the wild charge they made. All the world wondered. Honor the charge they made. Honor the Light Brigade. Noble 600. Thank you.
I will be performing Alone by Edgar Allan Poe. From childhood's hour, I have not been as others were. I have not seen as others saw. I cannot bring my passions from a common spring. From the same source, I have not taken my sorrow. I could not awaken my heart to joy at the same tone. And all I'd loved alone. Then, in my childhood, the dawn of a most stormy life, was drawn from every depth of good and ill, the mystery which binds me still. From the torrent or the fountain, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sun that round me rolled in its autumn tint of gold, from the lightning in the sky as it passed me flying by, from the thunder and the storm, and the cloud that took the form, when the rest of heaven was blue, of a demon in my view.
Ego by Denise Duhamel. I just didn't get it. Even with the teacher holding an orange, the earth, in one hand and a lemon, the moon, in the other, her favorite student, the sun, standing behind her with a flashlight. I just couldn't grasp it. This whole citrus universe, these bumpy planets revolving so slowly. No one could even see themselves moving. I used to think if I could only concentrate hard enough, I could be the one person to feel what no one else could. Sense a small tug from the ground, a sky shift, the earth changing gears. Even though I was only one minispeck on a speck, even though I was merely a pinprick in one goosebump on the orange, I was sure then I was the most specially perceptive, perceptively sensitive. I was sure then my mother was the only mother to snap, "The world doesn't revolve around you." The earth was fragile and mostly water, just the way the orange was mostly water.
if you peeled it, just the way I was mostly water if you peeled me. Looking back on that third grade science demonstration, I can understand why some people gave up on fame or religion or cures. Especially people who have an understanding of the excruciating crawl of the world, who have a well-developed sense of spatial reasoning and the tininess that it is to be one of us. But not me. Even now, I wouldn't mind being God, the force who spins the planets the way I spin a globe, a basketball, a yo-yo. I wouldn't mind being that teacher who chooses the fruit, or that favorite kid who gives the moon its glow.
It's about the ball, the bat, and the mitt. Ball hits bat, or it hits mitt. Bat doesn't hit ball, bat meets it. Ball bounces off bat, flies air, or thuds ground, dud, or if it's mitt. Bat waits for ball to mate. Ball hates to take bat's bait. Ball flirts, bat's late, don't keep the date. Ball goes in thwack to mitt, and goes out thwack back to mitt. Ball fits mitt, but not all the time. Sometimes ball gets hit, pow, when bat meets it, and sails to a place where mitt has to quit in disgrace. That's about the bases loaded. About 40,000 fans exploded. It's about the ball, the bat, the mitt, the bases, and the fans. It's done on a diamond, and for fun. It's about home, and it's about run. Thank you.
A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied. So he opens his throat to sing. The cage bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the cage bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn-bright lawn. And he names the sky his own. But a cage bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The cage bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the cage bird sings of freedom.
Good evening, my name is Yaneli Soriano, and I will be performing I Am the People, the Mob by Carl Sandburg. I am the people, the mob, the crowd, the mass. Do you know that all the great work of the world is done through me? I am the working man, the inventor, the maker of the world's food and clothes. I am the audience that witnesses history. The Napoleons come from me, and the Lincolns. They die, and then I sent forth more Napoleons and Lincolns. I am the seed ground. I am a prairie that will stand for much plowing. Terrible storms pass over me. I forget. The best of me is sucked out and wasted. I forget. Everything but death comes to me and makes me work and give up what I have, and I forget. Sometimes I growl, shake myself, and spatter a few red drops for history to remember. Then I forget. When I, the people, learn to remember, when I, the people, use the lessons of yesterday and no longer forget who robbed me last year, who played me for a fool, then there will be no speaker in all the world say the name, the people, with any flake of sneer in his voice or any far-off smile of derision. The mob, the crowd, the mass will arrive then.
To the Ladies by Lady Mary Chudley. Wife and servant are the same, but only differ in the name. For when that fatal knot is tied, which nothing can divide, when she the word obey has said, and man by law supreme has made, then all that's kind is laid aside, and nothing left but state and pride. Fierce as the eastern prince he grows, and all his innate rigor shows. Then but to look, to laugh, or speak, will that nuptial contract break. Like mutes she sighs, alone must make, and never any freedom take, but still be governed by a nod, and fear her husband as a god. Him still must serve, him still obey, and nothing act, and nothing say. But what her haughty lord thinks fit, who with the power has all the wit. Then shun, oh shun that wretched state, and all the fawning flatters hate. Value yourselves, and men despise. You must be proud if you'll be wise.
The Destruction of Sennacherib by Lord Byron. The Assyrian came down like the wolf on the fold, and his cohorts were gleaming in purple and gold. And the sheen of their spears was like stars on the sea when the blue wave rolls nightly on deep Galilee. Like the leaves of the forest when summer is green, that host with their banners at sunset were seen. Like the leaves of the forest when autumn hath blown, that host on the morrow lay withered and strown. For the angel of death spread his wings on the blast, and breathed in the face of the foe as he passed. And the eyes of the sleepers waxed deadly and chill, and their hearts but once heaved and forever grew still. And there lay the steed with his nostril all wide, but through it there rolled not the breath of his pride, and the foam of his gasping lay white on the turf, and cold as the spray of the rock-beating surf. And there lay the rider, distorted and pale, with the dew on his brow and the rust on his mail. And the tents are all silent, the banners alone, the lances unlifted, the trumpet unblown. And the widows of Asher are loud in their wail, and the idols are broke in the temple of Baal. And the might of the Gentile, unsmote by the sword, hath melted like snow in the glance of the Lord.
I'm going to be reciting Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps at the back of the wind and floats downstream to the current ends and dips his wings in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied. So he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But the caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied. So he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom.
A Poison Tree by William Blake. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath did end. I was angry with my foe. I told it not, my wrath did grow. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears. And I sunned it with smiles and with soft, deceitful wiles. And it grew both day and night till it bore an apple bright. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. And into my garden stole, when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning, glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree.
The Pomegranate and the Big Crowd by Alberto Rios. Ventura, because she was hungry and because she was curious, but more because she was curious, took the dare, a kiss for a pomegranate. Everyone gathered, her friends and his. Everyone watched, the boys, the girls, the pigs and the chickens and more. Moving to the front were the children she and Clemente would one day have. And the children of those children, too, gathered and loud with everyone and everything else. Loud as the pigs and fast as the chickens. Though she could not see them, still they crowded her, and she could feel their anxious breathing. This boy, Clemente, whom she would kiss, she would have kissed even without the pomegranate. Though she could not say it and was glad of this game, he suited her, she thought. He had a strong face. He felt what she felt. She could see him look around, but not at their friends. She could see him feel the shiver of the children they would have. Their son Margarito, his two sisters, both of whom would become nuns if just to pray enough to take care of him, and his serious wife to come, Refugio, and her sisters Matilde and Consuelo as well. All the people who would follow this kiss, so many of them and their children too. Everyone stood there, arms up, everyone watching. So much noise in this moment. This quick lending of herself to his cheek, the way Ventura would later kiss all these impatient children of theirs. The kiss seemed so small but was filled with itself. This small moment of affection she gave this boy, the quarter second that it took. There they all stood, waiting with the crowd, egging them on, hefting the pomegranate, and pushing them toward each other. Clemente and Ventura, in that quarter second, lived their lives. A quarter second, not finished yet. Thank you.
I Carry Your Heart With Me, I Carry It In by E. E. Cummings. I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. I'm never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear. And whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful, you are my world, my true. And it's you, or whatever a moon has always meant, and whatever a sun will always sing, is you. Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root, and the bud of the bud, and the sky of the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. I Carry Your Heart With Me, I Carry It In by E. E. Cummings. Thank you.
Golden Retrievals by Mark Doty. Fetch! Balls and sticks capture my attention seconds at a time. Catch? I don't think so. Bunny, tumbling leaf, a squirrel who's, oh joy, actually scared. Sniff the wind, then I'm off again. Muck, pond, ditch, residue of any thrillingly dead thing. And you? Either you're sunk in the past, half our walk, thinking of something you never can bring back, or else you're often sub fog concerning tomorrow. Is that what you called it? My work? To unravel time's warp. And woof, retrieving, my haze-headed friend, you. This shining bark, a Zen master's bronzy gong, calls you here entirely now. Bow wow, bow wow, bow wow. Thank you.
I shot an arrow into the air. It fell to earth, I knew not where. For so swiftly it flew, the sight could not follow in its flight. I breathed a song into the air. It fell to earth, I knew not where. For who has sight so keen and strong that it could follow the flight of song? Long, long afterward, in an oak, I found the arrow, still unbroke, and the song, from beginning to end, I found again in the heart of a friend.
Those Winter Sundays by Robert Hayden. Sundays, too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue-black cold. Then, with cracked hands that ached from labor in the weekday weather, made banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake and hear the cold splintering, breaking. When the rooms were warm, he'd call. And slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house. Speaking indifferently to him, who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well. What did I know? What did I know of love's austere and lonely offices?
The Poet by Yon Noguchi. Out of the deep and the dark, a sparkling mystery, a shape, something perfect, comes like the stir of the day, on whose breath is an odor, whose eyes show the road to stars. The breeze in his face, the glory of heaven on his back. He steps like a vision hung in the air. His abode, his diffusing the passion of eternity. His abode is the sunlight of morn, the music of eve, his speech. In his sight, one shall turn from the dust of the grave and move on to the woodland. Lunar Baedeker by Mina Loy. A silver Lucifer serves cocaine in cornucopia to some somnambulists of adolescent thighs draped in satirical draperies. Paris in livery prepare lathe for posthumous parvenus. Delirious avenues lit with the chandelier souls of infusoria from Pharaoh's tombstones lead to mercurial doomsdays. Odious oasis in furrowed phosphorus, the eye-white skylight, white light district of lunar lusts. Stelectric signs, wing shows on Starway, zodiac carousel. Cyclones of ecstatic dust and ashes whirl crusaders from hallucinatory citadels of shattered glass into evacuate craters. A flock of dreams browse on necropolis. From the shores of oval oceans in the oxidized Orient, onyx-eyed odalisks and ornithologists observe the flight of Eros obsolete and immortality mildews in the museums of the moon. Nocturnal cyclops, crystal concubine, pocked with personification, the fossil virgin of the skies waxes and wanes. Thank you.
Dreamers by Siegfried Sassoon, performed by Robert Machuca. Soldiers are citizens of death's gray land, drawing no dividend from time's tomorrow. In the great hour of destiny they stand, each with his feuds and jealousies and sorrows. Soldiers are sworn to action, they must win some flaming fatal climax with their lives. Soldiers are dreamers. When the guns begin, they think of firelit homes, clean beds, and wives. I see them in foul dugouts, gnawed by rats, and in the ruined trenches, lashed with rain, dreaming of things they did with balls and bats, and mocked by hopeless, longing to regain bank holidays and picture shows and spats, and going to the office in the train. Thank you.
I will be performing Israfel by Edgar Allan Poe. And yes, I am a Poe fan, so respect. And the angel Israfel, whose heartstrings are a lute, and who has the sweetest voice of all God's creatures, the Quran. In heaven a spirit doth dwell, whose heartstrings are a lute. None sing so widely well as the angel Israfel. And the giddy stars, their legends tell, ceasing their hymns, attend the spell of his voice all mute. Tottering above in her highest noon, the enamored moon blushes with love. While to listen the red leven, with the rapid plaids even, which were 7, pauses in heaven. And they say, the starry choir and the other listening things, that Israfeli's fire is owing to that lyre by which he sits and sings, the trembling living wire of those unusual strings. But the skies that angel trod, where deep thoughts are a duty, where love's a grown-up God, where the hoary glances are imbued with all the beauty which we worship in a star. Therefore thou'rt not wrong, Israfeli, who despisest an unimpassioned song. To thee the laurels belong, best bard, because it is the wisest, merrily live and long. And the ecstasies above, with thy burning measure suit, thy grief, thy joy, thy hate, thy love. With the fervor of thy lute, well may the stars be mute. Yes, yes, it is a world of sweet and sour. Heaven is thine. It is a world of sweet and sours. Our flowers are merely flowers, and the shadow of thy perfect bliss is the sunshine of ours. If I could dwell where Israfel hath dwelt, and he were I, he might not sing so widely well a mortal melody, while a bolder note than this might swell from my lyre within the sky.
Testimonial by Rita Dove. Back when the earth was new and heaven just a whisper. Back when the names of things hadn't had time to stick. Back when the smallest breezes melted summer into autumn. When all the poplars quivered sweetly in rank and file. The world called, and I answered, each glance ignited to a gaze. I caught my breath and called that life, swooned between spoonfuls of lemon sorbet. I was pirouette and flourish, I was filigree and flame. How could I count my blessings when I didn't know their names? Back when everything was still to come, luck leaked out everywhere. I gave my promise to the world, and the world followed me. Here.
Fortuna by Thomas Carlyle. The wind blows east, the wind blows west, and the frost falls and the rain. A weary heart went thankful to rest, and must rise to toil again, and must rise to toil again. The wind blows east, the wind blows west, and there comes good luck and bad. The thriftiest man is the cheerfulest. 'Tis a thriftless thing to be sad. Sad. 'Tis a thriftless thing to be sad. The wind blows east, the wind blows west. Ye shall know a tree by its fruit. This world, they say, is worse to the best, but a dastard has evil to boot. Boot. But a dastard has evil to boot. The wind blows east. The wind blows west. What skills it to mourn or to talk? A journey I have, and far ere I rest, I must bundle my wallets and walk. Walk. I must bundle my wallets and walk. The wind does blow as it lists alway. Canst thou change this world to thy mind? The world will wander its own wise way. I also will wander mine. Mine. I also will wander mine. Thank you.
On the Death of Anne Bronte by Charlotte Bronte. There's little joy in life for me, and little terror in the grave. I've lived the parting hour to see of one I would have died, to save. Calmly, to watch the failing breath, wishing each sigh might be the last, longing to see the shade of death o'er those beloved features cast. The cloud, the stillness that must part the darling of my life from me, and then to thank God from my heart, to thank him well and fervently, although I knew that we had lost the hope and glory of our life. And now, benighted, tempest-tossed, must bear alone the weary strife.
Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced, nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but I'm bowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Thank you.
The Cities Inside Us by Alberto Rios. We live in secret cities, and we travel unmapped roads. We speak words between us that we recognize, but which cannot be looked up. They are our words. They come from very far inside our mouths. You and I, we are the secret citizens of the city inside us. And inside us, there go all the cars we have driven and seen. There are all the people we know and have known. There are all the places that are, but which used to be as well. This is where they went. They did not disappear. We each take a piece through the eye and through the ear. It's loud inside us in here. And when we speak in the outside world, we have to hope that some of that sound does not come out, that an arm does not reach out in place of the tongue.
The Arrow and the Song by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I shot an arrow into the air. It fell to earth, I knew not where. For so swiftly it flew, the sight could not follow it in its flight. I breathed a song into the air. It fell to earth, I knew not where. For who has sight so keen and strong that it can follow the flight of song? Long, long afterward, in an oak, I found the arrow, still unbroke. and the song from beginning to end, I found again in the heart of a friend.
I'm going to be reciting I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died by Emily Dickinson. I heard a fly buzz when I died. The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air between the heaves of storm. The eyes around had wrung them dry, and breaths were gathering firm for that last onset, when the king bee witnessed in the room. I willed my keepsakes, signed away what portion of me be assignable, and then it was there interposed a fly with blue, uncertain, stumbling buzz between the light and me. And then the windows failed, and then I could not see to see.